5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me first echo what Ranking Member McMorris Rogers said, that all energy sources have some negative impacts, and I think we need to do research on all of them. For example, wind, she mentioned birds, she left out bats, but what the Europeans have found is that if you paint one blade black, you reduce significantly bird mortality on offshore windmills. So I think we need to do more research on that. I also believe that we need to do more research on how we can make fossil fuels more effective as well. That being said, Mr. Kiernan and Mr. Woods have both talked about different things that are happening to the rivers and biodiversity, and I'm interested. I know it's not today's hearing, so I'm not going to ask for a response, but I'm just interested in you all's concerns as time goes by, and we can do this in writing, about the effect of pesticides, particularly for the Trout Unlimited, on species that are not targeted by agriculture, but that are affected by pesticides used in agriculture, affecting the amount of food that's available and perhaps the ingestion of pesticides that the insects have acquired by the fish that eat them. But those are just a few of the things that I found interesting in the comments up to this point. But those weren't any of my questions that I was supposed to ask. So let me get to that. In the 115th Congress, my bill, the Promoting Closed-Loop Pump Storage Hydropower Act, became law as part of the American Water Infrastructure Act. This created at FERC an expedited licensing process for closed-loop projects, which are essentially giant batteries. FERC was directed to ensure that this expedited licensing process resulted in a final decision on the application in less than 2 years. Mr. Wolf has just told us in response to Mr. Tonko part of the problem with that. And I am disappointed that FERC isn't here to testify on the proposal before us and to see whether they agree with you, Mr. Wolf, because we thought we were taking care of this back in 2018, and now we hear that that has not occurred. But we would like to see that occur. And Dr. Bouchon's bill has been mentioned several times for non-powered dams, and that hasn't seen results either. Mr. Wolf, since FERC is not here, I'm going to ask you the questions. It's my understanding that only one facility has applied to use the expedited licensing process for closed-loop hydro, and the application was either withdrawn or rejected. Are there efforts by FERC to promote this program and encourage hydropower companies to apply for this expedited process? Are you aware of any of those? All right, he's not aware. And it seems that some of the environmental laws and requirements imposed by other agencies outside of FERC are the holdup and are resulting in more complicated application processes. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
And he agrees with that. The proposal under review today includes much of the same interagency task force language that we included in 2018. You've mentioned in your answers to Congressman Tonko that this new language will do better. What's the language in there that's going to make it so that we don't get hung up with other agencies trying to implement their laws? Well, go ahead and answer that one. I'll get to the next one later.
By starting with the pre-application process, starting the stock clock, that's going to help. The entire process, we're also trying to coordinate by requiring FERC to do upfront coordination with those other agencies, come up with a combined schedule, and if there's conflicting conditions, work that out before the process is over.
So, in other words, for the folks watching back home, they would already have a system set up before Company X would ever bring in their proposal. The agencies would already have it worked out. You've got this much time to respond, and the other agency has so much time to respond, and then FERC gets those informations and moves forward. Is that correct?
That's right, and it would only apply for closed loop or off-stream pump storage. Those don't typically have the environmental concerns.
And they don't have the environmental concerns because there isn't wildlife that's going to be impacted because it's a closed loop. That's the whole point of the bill, and for somehow the agencies of the federal government have missed that. Would you agree with me on that?
I would.
Thank you. The law also requires FERC to conduct a workshop to explore the potential of developing these projects in abandoned mine lands. FERC issued guidance in October of 2019. Are you aware of any companies exploring this option?
There is increased need in pump storage around the country, and folks are looking at abandoned mines.
And I got a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity, but the licensing process is, we've got 90 facilities in the pipeline, and nothing's been built for decades.
All right. Do you think FERC could do more to advertise this opportunity?
We would love it, yes.
Thank you very much. My time is up. I yield back.
The gentleman